Man's best friend is a dog, or so they say. But sometimes even a man's worst enemy can be a dog, or rather a wolf, the wild dog's wilder cousin. That's exactly what happened to a man in Kazakhstan. Let's see how he handled the situation. Dole Tuyeshev was a former police officer, which probably helped him deal with stressful situations. But nothing could have prepared him for what happened on that fateful day in September 2013. He was checking out his oil tanker truck in front of his house in the small Central Asian town of Zhetibai when he felt a sudden searing pain in his shoulder. Something had sunk its teeth into him. He turned around and saw a gray wolf standing there. It lunged at him again, biting his arm and knocking him off his feet. His first thought was to grab the animal by the throat, and it worked. The wolf was big, heavier than any dog he'd seen, but his years of training kicked in. He locked his fingers around its muzzle, gouging out its eyes and slamming his knee into its snout. The wolf howled, flailing its paws wildly, its claws raking down Dole's back. Ignoring the pain, he pushed his knee harder, managing to push the wolf away for a few seconds. But the animal wasn't giving up. It launched itself at him again, sinking its teeth into his shoulder. With a Herculean effort, Douillet managed to pull himself up, throwing the wolf off balance. He landed a punch on its nose, then grabbed it by the throat. And there, amidst the dust and the desperate growls of the wolf, the man managed to strangle the animal to death. The fight was over, but his ordeal was not. The wound on his shoulder was deep, the pain unbearable. But somehow he made his way to the hospital, collapsing in front of the emergency entrance. The doctors were astonished. By his account of the attack, they didn't believe him at first. How could a man possibly take on and beat a wolf? But the state of his body told the grim tale. The doctors tended to his wounds while the town elders gathered at the site of the attack. They took the dead wolf away, burned it according to tradition, and scattered the ashes to the winds. But let's go back to the beginning. Why did the wolf attack him in the first place? Wolves don't usually attack humans. They are generally shy, preferring to avoid people if possible. But sometimes, especially during late fall and winter, hunger can drive them to desperation. Wolves rely heavily on their sense of smell. Perhaps the scent of blood from an animal carcass on Dole's clothes or the metallic tang of blood from his recent surgery attracted the wolf. Whatever the reason, he found himself in a desperate fight for his life against an implacable foe. His survival would require nothing short of superhuman strength and grit. And speaking of grit, let's meet a man who showed the same in spades. On September 8, 2013, a woman was tending to her garden behind a secluded cabin on the west coast of Vancouver Island in Canada. Suddenly, a huge cougar pounced on her, knocking her down and sinking its claws into her. The animal had her pinned and was slowly starting to eat her face. Her common-law partner, Mike Maxwell, heard her screams. He ran outside and saw a horrifying sight. A large cougar was tearing apart his partner of 26 years. Without a moment's hesitation, he charged at the wildcat. It turned, momentarily startled by the intrusion, and Mike used that split second to strike. He jabbed at the animal with the nearest thing he had to a spear. And yes, it was a spear. A 7-foot-long wooden pole with a sharp metal stake at one end, something he used to make his own furniture. He hit the cougar several times, each thrust of the spear sinking into the animal's thick fur and driving it away from his partner. Finally, the wildcat slunk away into the bushes, leaving the wounded woman behind. When the emergency services arrived, they found the cougar dead. It had apparently succumbed to its wounds. The woman was airlifted to a hospital in critical condition, but she survived, thanks to the quick reactions of her partner. These stories are separated by thousands of miles, different animals and different weapons. Yet they share a common thread. They showcase the extraordinary courage of ordinary people who found themselves in extraordinary situations. Whether you're facing down a wolf in Kazakhstan or a cougar in Canada, it seems that a bit of quick thinking and a whole lot of courage can go a long way. They remind us that while nature can be brutal and unforgiving, The human spirit is capable of some truly remarkable feats. So, the next time you feel like your troubles are getting a bit too much to handle, just remember, it could always be worse. You could be fighting for your life against a hungry wolf or a mountain lion.